Name of Amen, the Supreme, the All-Powerful, the one and only true Lord, and Amen we trust as the Republic of Mentellect, the real 144,000 is being gathered in this day and time, the Mentalists. Menzeka Aminun to all of my mentalist brothers and sisters out there, registered members of the Republic of Mentellect, and to all future mentalists who have yet to find their way home to the Republic of Mentellect, which is Amen's covenant. I send greetings out to you, and I send peace out to you in Amentelian language by saying to you, Menzeka Aminun. Good evening, I'm your host, the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz, and this is Mentellect Radio. And tonight, we're going to be discussing who is the real successor to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, many people might be asking themselves, why am I talking about this? Am I trying to stir up controversy? Am I trying to challenge the current leaders of the so-called nations of Islam out here today? Am I making a rush to try to challenge them for successorship of the messenger? No, I am not. No, I am not. I am simply going to ask logical questions to this topic, right? Because no one can deny what a great impact this great man had on not just black people, but the world. You know, a lot of things happened as a result of what the messenger did, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who dedicated himself to raising his people. A lot of great things happened, you know, even with people who were not directly connected to the Nation of Islam. See, because when you have such a bright star like the messenger, a bright man such as him, whatever he does, because he is sealed by Amen to be, of that time, the Amen Ray. Many of you don't understand what I mean by that, but I'll explain later. To be the Amen Ray of that time, the receiver of that time, to be able to house the power of that time, the wisdom of that time, the supreme wisdom of that time, to move our people forward from the state of degeneracy that they were in, and they continue to be in today, even worse. That is a man who creates a vibration, tone, frequency throughout his life. So this man's 70-some-odd years on the earth, right, he touched a lot of people's lives, even people who were not in the Nation of Islam. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did say he came to the black nation. He came to the so-called black nation, the so-called black man, right? And with that being said, because we were thinking of ourselves as so-called black people, it didn't mean that he just came to the Nation of Islam. That meant he came to black people, so-called black people. He put himself out as the messenger of the black race, the so-called black race at that time. He put himself out as the messenger to the black race, right? The so-called black race. So that means that the so-called black race, us being at that time members of the so-called black race, have every right to look at this man as an icon, one of our great icons, as a luminary, one of our great luminaries, and then look to those who are calling themselves successors to this great man. See, because again, a lot of people in the nations of Islam today, the so-called nations of Islam today, and a lot of their so-called successors may take offense at what I'm saying. Well, let me first start off by saying this. I got a question. They said, and I hope this guy listens to the broadcast when it goes on YouTube. I got a question where a guy said to me, why don't Nuben ever talk about Noble Drew Ali or because he was first with Islam and, you know, bringing Islam over here, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, was taught by Noble Drew Ali, or he was a Moor, or whatever the case may be. Why don't Nuben ever talk about the Moors, right? Or they said, why don't I ever talk about Marcus Garvey and the fact that Elijah Muhammad was influenced by Marcus Garvey. And I've spoken about Marcus Garvey, and I've spoken about Noble Drew Ali, on quite a few broadcasts in the past. Why I said that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad made so much more impact than these two men is because, number one, Marcus Garvey was talking about going back to Africa, okay, which first and foremost was not even real, because we didn't come from Africa, number one. We didn't come from no Africa. You understand that? So him talking about us going back to Africa didn't even make any sense. Hell, Marcus Garvey himself didn't even go back to Africa. So that was the wrong direction, even though Marcus Garvey meant well, and he did a great job in structuring the people at that time. You know, I'm not going to knock Marcus Garvey down as a great luminary, as one of our greats, but he wasn't an Amun Ray. He wasn't a receiver like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Same thing with Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali was a great luminary, great man. You know, he tried to do something for his people. He was sincere, or at least I like to think he was sincere, just like Marcus Garvey. However, the problem with Noble Drew Ali was he was teaching Islam from that Middle Eastern Arab version. That's what he was teaching from and calling it Moorish. You understand? He was teaching Orthodox Islam and calling it Moorish Islam or Moorish science. You understand that? Because his teacher, if I'm not mistaken, was some kind of Persian or some guy. So I forget if he was a Persian. He was an Arab or something. He wasn't a so-called black man. He was an Arab. So he's teaching that, right? So that has nothing to do with the future of our people. Teaching that, having us dressing in robes and turbans and things like that was not anything dealing with the future of our people. That was trying to get us to look back at a history that's not really even our own. That's a false history. Because I told you before, all this Moorish stuff, they talking about the Moors this and the Moors that. That was really, a lot of that was the Olmecs, man. You understand? Because a lot of those so-called Moors who were studying Islam, a lot of them guys were in slavery. A lot of those Moors were in slavery to the Arabs, okay? So teaching us a doctrine, an orthodox Islamic doctrine, was not going to work for us as a people. That's why, you know, Noble Drew Ali, I mean, he threw the fezzes on, the suits and stuff like that. I get that. I get that. You understand? I get that. But also, you know, and he tried to modernize it, but also the problem with that was that, you know, they were trying to rely heavily on America and the whole Moorish American thing and things like that. So again, you know, that was more or less the way he was preaching Islam, was like they was trying to still embrace America or embrace the society as government. That was the problem with that. Trying to embrace the society as government. What made Honorable Elijah Muhammad evolutionary was that he told it like it was. He told it like it was. He said the white man was the devil. You understand that? Because he was, and he is. You understand? And he's also the God that you worship. You understand? Whether it's white Jesus. Now people will say, well, what about Fard? Fard came from the East, and Fard did this, and Fard came from the East, and Fard did this, and blah, blah, blah. And the messenger had Fard, Master Fard Muhammad, who was an Arab, who was, according to the story, was an Arab who was born 1877, who came over here in the 30s, supposed to be in the age of 50 and start teaching black people, right? That's what they'll say about the messenger, that his teacher was an Arab, a white man, or a so-called mulatto named Fard, right? That supposedly came from Saudi Arabia. Well, question. If that's true, let's just say that for argument's sake, that's true. How much of an impact and how much could Fard really have on black people in America? First of all, according to the story, Fard wasn't even born here in America. You understand? He wasn't born here in America, and he didn't look like a so-called black man. So how the hell could he, who was not born in America, and didn't look like a so-called black man, how could he know what the so-called black man is going through? How could he know what the so-called black man is going through if you're not born here in America as a so-called black man and you're not a full-on black man? Because I don't think he's black at all. But that's the Nation of Islam. I'm not going to get into all that tonight. He don't look like a so-called black man. That story about him being a mulatto, y'all can keep running with that. We can pick that story apart all day. But nobody can argue that the Nation of Islam's doctrine was heavily influenced by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The mass majority of it. Why? Because he was a so-called black man in America, going through the hells of America and North America and all that. So how the hell could Fard really give you a doctrine where he ain't going through what you went through? How? I mean, I'm not saying that Fard didn't influence the doctrine. I'm not saying he didn't come and he didn't basically take certain things from different things and start gathering it all together and start his own set and start teaching the people and whatnot, and that's fine. You want to give Fard the credit for being the founder of the Nation of Islam, that's fine. That's fine. But as I told you all before, if you want to get technical about it, and you calling Fard Allah, and you calling Elijah the messenger, how is it that Fard's Allah and Elijah's the messenger when Fard left? You understand? He did what I kept bringing this up. He did what a messenger does. A messenger brings a message and leaves. That's what Fard did. Fard brought the message and left. You understand? He didn't stay. So how was he God? When does God ever leave? God is omnipresent, omnipotent, always seen, always, and that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is. And he still is today. His image is still illuminating throughout this atmosphere. His image is still illuminating. That was God in person. But a lot of you people in the Nation of Islam, like I said, y'all can't wrap your head around that because you really don't believe that the so-called black man was God. You don't. You still believe the white man is God. That's why you don't have no problem putting that image of Fard up. I'm going to just be real about it. And I got to be real about it because this is what you were presenting to the so-called black nation, so-called black people. So if you put your doctrine out there for scrutiny and you telling us that we're supposed to follow this, then we got to scrutinize this. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the black nation, not to just the nation of Islam, but to the black nation, to all of us, then we got the right to scrutinize his work and who's supposedly calling themselves successors, whether they in the Nation of Islam or not. Y'all don't own Elijah Muhammad's image. I'm going to just say that tonight. The Nation of Islam, however many nations, the five nations of Islam, y'all don't own the image of Elijah Muhammad. So you shouldn't be getting bent out of shape over this broadcast. Elijah Muhammad belonged to the black nation, the so-called black nation, the so-called black people. And any black person at any given time can speak on the messenger. Anybody can. Y'all don't own the messenger. Amen owns the messenger. The Lord owns the messenger because the Lord put the messenger put the message in the messenger. You can say it's Fard all day all you want to, but how far could Fard has gotten as a so-called white man? He didn't come. If he was God, he would have came as a so-called black man and just thugged it out and just taught y'all in so-called black skin. No, but according to the story, he had to come as a white man and his father was black and all that. Whatever. That don't sound like God to me. That sounds like a messenger, somebody who's just trying to get in and get out. That's what that sounds like. So, in me saying that, I bear witness that Elijah was the Amun-Re of his time, the God in person, who received a message from Amun by way of this man named Fard. Because we got a lot of people who influence you on your path, on your journey, to put you on your path and put you on your journey. And that's all Fard was there for. Amun used Fard. You understand that? Amun used him. It's the same way when the so-called Mexican guy came and taught Dr. Sebi. When Dr. Sebi was overweight and he had diabetes and whatnot, the Mexican guy came and taught Dr. Sebi, put him in contact with that knowledge, that ancient knowledge that was really his. Put him in contact with it. You understand? Fard did the same thing. And they did it through Freemasonry. Because nobody wants to say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali were Freemasons, but they were. And Elijah Muhammad was teaching a more Freemasonic style of Islam. That's why it was more dressed down, more close. Noble Drew Ali was too, but it was more dressed down. It was more business-like, more modern, you see. Because, again, that's what made the Honorable Elijah Muhammad special. That's what made him, you see him in another light because what he was teaching was futuristic. A lot of the visions that he received that I don't think he got from Fard. Because, again, you got to ask yourself a question. A lot of this stuff don't make sense. Fard's supposed to be God in person. Let me just get on this for a second. Fard is supposed to be God in person, right? And he's supposed to be Allah and all this other stuff, right? And they said he only know a certain amount of languages. How is it that he's supposed to be Allah, the omnipresent, omnipotent? He don't know all the languages on the planet. He's supposed to know every language if he God in person. If he's supposed to be Allah, the Most High, whatever y'all saying he is. He's supposed to know every damn language. You see? How is it that Elijah Muhammad, they talking about Elijah Muhammad had to go to the library and read 102 books. Y'all know that story where they talking about the messenger read 102 books. Why does the messenger have to read any books if he got God teaching him? Does that even make sense? Why did he have to read any books? And that's y'all story in the Nation of Islam. Why did the man have to read any books if God was there teaching him? What the hell a book going to tell you that God can't tell you and more? So y'all story got holes all in it, man. Y'all story got holes all in it. Why don't you just stop it and say, look, the messenger was God, but y'all don't want to do that. Why don't you just say the messenger just took, and him and Fard just took Freemasonry and Islam and put it together? Because, like I said, and Fard came, he had the setup going, and he probably got hooked up with Drew Ali and all of them. However it got to the messenger, who cares? Who cares? Because don't nobody know nothing about Fard, so that tells you how important Fard was. Y'all wouldn't know nothing about Fard if Elijah Muhammad didn't keep his name alive. You understand that? Elijah was with y'all doing the work like a god. Elijah was with y'all doing the work like a god. Fard left. 3 years, you going to tell me 3 years Trump 40 years? Again, that shows that there's something wrong with y'all in the Nation of Islam. That you can still celebrate and put this man picture up over Elijah Muhammad. Y'all don't see nothing wrong with that, do you? An image of a white man. You want to call him a mulatto all you want to, but y'all know he ain't a so-called black man, and yet you teach the black man is God. Stop it. Stop it. We'll put Elijah Muhammad up as a God in person, as an Amun Ray over here, because we appreciate what he did. We know him as a man, a true man of the Lord. Like I said, I know him as a true bright man of the Lord. And he said himself, because all of wisdom, again, you can't teach a person wisdom. This is another thing I'm going to say about you people who claim that Elijah Muhammad got all this knowledge from Fard. Get out of here with that bull. That's a load of bull. That's a load of BS. You can't teach nobody wisdom. You can't teach nobody wisdom. You can't teach nobody how to be a leader. You can't teach nobody how to be a leader. You can't teach nobody wisdom. That man had divine and supreme wisdom that only comes by experience and learning things and having a keen mind to be able to have a greater perception of things. That's a gift from Amen. That's a gift from the Lord, man. That didn't come from no Fard. How the hell Fard going to teach him that in 3 years? You ain't going to give no credit to the messenger. He just was a dumb nigga, huh? Till Fard came along. Okay. He was just a dumb Negro till Fard came along. Y'all got to stop that, man. You understand that? The messenger was set up to be in the place he was in, man. The messenger was set up by Amen to be in the place he was, because it was all about the messenger. It was not about Fard. Because if it was about Fard, he would have stayed. It was always about the messenger, because the greatest work, the Nation of Islam got put on the map because of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not because of Fard, not because of him, because Elijah Muhammad would have been a leader regardless. If they would have been a so-called black man who would have came and taught Elijah Muhammad, didn't matter. Didn't matter. And then Elijah Muhammad was smart enough to keep that picture up of Fard as that pale looking, as that so-called pale man. He was smart enough to keep that picture up, because what it did was it kept the FBI and the CIA and kept the goddamn devil off his ass. Kept the beast off his ass and off the nation. You understand that? Because they just looked at it, that blew their mind right there. They're supposed to be a so-called black supremacist organization, but they got to lead their God up as a white man. You see, the messenger knew how to mess with their head, man. That was messing with their head. Because back when they had that little scandal about Fard being a drug dealer and a con man and all this other stuff, Messenger put up a picture of Fard looking like a white guy. He was some Arab and some other mix. But it don't matter about him. It don't matter. You'll bust your head open trying to figure that goddamn story out. But you ain't nothing to figure out because it don't matter. It don't matter. You understand that? That's why I said, the Islam that the messenger was teaching was born here in America. It was not born with Fard in Saudi Arabia. Because again, how is it, again, another hole in the story. I just got to poke some holes in these stories. How is it, if Fard was raised in Saudi Arabia with a so-called black father and a white mother, and he was supposed to be a member of the Quraysh tribe, which the Quraysh tribe is pale Arabs, how is it that what kind of Islam did he learn from his father, who was supposed to be a so-called Arab in the Quraysh tribe, where they teaching Orthodox Islam? Where did this teaching of the black man being God came from? Where did that teaching come from? Hey, don't tell me it came from Saudi Arabia with Fard. So we're going to knock that story down about Fard bringing this teaching that the black man is God. Where the hell in Saudi Arabia are they teaching that? Where the hell are they teaching that the black man is God in Saudi Arabia, since you people in the Nation of Islam claim that came from Fard? You understand? Where are they teaching that at? They're not teaching that nowhere. You tell me what brand of Islam Farad was studying in Saudi Arabia and Mecca to be able to receive that the black man was God, or that they up there thinking about so-called black men as being damn slaves. You understand that? Them Arabs don't think of you black men as no God. They think of you as a bunch of niggas, a bunch of slaves, and they think of your women as a bunch of bed wenches, because they had your people in slavery. So don't tell me Farad came from Saudi Arabia talking about the black man was God. That's a load of BS. That knowledge had to be born here in America. That knowledge had to be born here in America. And that's Freemasonic teaching. Black Freemasonic teaching. That's what that is. Stop giving Farad all the credit, because that teaching don't even sound like it come from Farad. Start using logic and rationale. My people in the Nation of Islam, use logic and rationale. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a great man. Still is a great man. And a great man who Amen puts forward creates vibration, tone, and frequency. Whatever great work he does, it always vibrates forward. It vibrates forward. It moves forward. And it has an impression on those who are coming after. It has a great impression on those who are coming after. And that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. That's how hard he put it down for 40 years. That's how hard he put it down for 40 years. He made an impression, so much so that 5 people can start Nations of Islam in his name and put up his picture and exalt themselves while doing it. 5 people can claim that they are successors to the messenger, set up their own Nations of Islam, and claim that they were his successor. That he's still a leader, but they run in the Nation of Islam. Funny. The messenger said, at the end of all this, all my true followers are going to be able to fit in a taxi cab. I wonder if it was any of these 5 leaders that claimed they're his successors that he was talking about. I wonder if it's any of them 5 leaders that got who are heads of the Nation of Islam now. Again, it's important for us to know, because the messenger was the first step in the evolution of our people from the last millennium. He was the first step. Amen used him. Amen utilized that great man to point us in the right direction to do for self, to stop thinking as the so-called white man is superior and supreme to us. Stop thinking of ourselves on that low black level. Start having pride in ourselves. This was just the beginning. He was the beginning. He was the open door. Get us to where we are now. Now, a lot of people will say, again, how dare you do this broadcast on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Brother, you ain't in the nation. You don't know the doctrine. I just said to you all that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does not belong to the Nation of Islam. He does not belong to the Nation of Islam. So stop it. He said he came to the black nation. So again, we can critique the messenger all we want. Now, he was just for the Nation of Islam, which he never said, and he said he came to the so-called black nation, then again, he belongs to us, not to y'all. He belongs to all of us. That great man belongs to all of us. Stop trying to put him in a box, because you certain people who want to use his name after the man been gone over 40, 50 years, you people still using his name, you still racking up off of his name, because it works for you to believe that you're the successor to him, and you could tell your followers that so they can keep coming in droves, because they're really magnetized or magnified by the image of the messenger. They're really magnified by the work that he did. They're really connected by the work and the great things that man accomplished. And you could all come after him and claim successorship because you sat down with him, you broke bread with him, you followed him for all these years, and now you can use his name to set up your counterfeit organizations. Raw and uncut. You could use his name to set up your counterfeit organizations and lie to your people about how much you claim that you're supposed to be the successor. Well, let me ask you something. Those of you who are listening without emotional ears, those of you who are listening to this broadcast, because the Nation of Islam can call in here. I done posted in their groups. I know they're probably going to be mad about it, but it shouldn't be, because, again, as a thinking, bright man who is a reflection, an extended reflection of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who bears witness that he was definitely a messenger of Amen, not no Allah, Amen, because again, I challenge that whole Allah thing, because Allah is a spook God. Allah is a spook God. So don't tell me, oh, Allah is man. No. What was Allah before Allah came over here according to you as Master Fard Muhammad? What did y'all all know Allah or God as? Don't tell me, oh, he was housing the energy of God inside of him, or God came into the person of him, whatever. Again, y'all not praying to Fard in the East. When y'all praying 5 times a day, 7 times a day, however many times y'all pray now, y'all not praying to Fard in the East. You praying to that spook God called Allah in the East, who y'all don't even know who that is. You're not praying to Fard, so stop it. And the Arab world in which he came from ain't praying to him. You praying to a spook God, an unseen God, which is really the Arab family who you praying to. The Arab family that controls Saudi Arabia and Mecca. Just like the Catholics, when you praying to the Catholic Church, the popes in them. They pray to the Pope. That's God. That's the image of God on earth. You understand? They praying to the Pope. So yeah, if you want to say God is a man from that, fine. But again, it don't hold no water, because it's not the Most High, and they're not connected to the Most High or the most continuous. You see, Fard wasn't the Most High or the most continuous. Fard, like I said, whatever he did, however he was utilized to get this message to you, because obviously it was meant to go to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Obviously, he was given a job to raise the so-called black nation, obviously. That was his job. You see, Fard was just the messenger. So now, after the messenger put in over 40 years of teaching Islam from a Freemasonic perspective, let's be clear about that. It was Freemasonry, right? It was. It wasn't no Orthodox Islam. It wasn't no Saudi Arabian Islam. It wasn't no special Islam that Fard had tucked away somewhere in Saudi Arabia. No, it was Freemasonry. Let's just be for real with it. Minister Farrakhan, no. That's all Freemasonry. All the top guys is Masons. Dr. York was a Mason. Hell, I was a Mason. All that. That's why I know what the teachers, what the titles and the teachings are. You understand? I did that under Dr. York. So when the messenger was teaching that Freemasonic Eastern Star type of Islam to the people, it did help in raising them up. It did help in cleaning them up. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Much better than any Orthodox Islam would have did for our people. Orthodox Islam would not have helped our people, because we wasn't raised in that environment. You understand that? We were raised in a suit and tie, modern environment in which the so-called Arabs even wanted to come into. That's why if you notice today, you see the Arabs, you ain't seeing them walking around in robes. They walking around in business suits with clean shaven and whatnot, something that the messenger had us doing back in the day. Cleaning ourselves up, put suits on, and things like being more modern. The messenger brought modern and futuristic teaching to Islam, to whereas he out taught Islam. The messenger out taught Islam. When he started talking about aliens and outer space and whatnot, that wasn't Islam. That wasn't Islam no more. You understand that? He was teaching things above and beyond Islam. And people say, no, he wasn't teaching no Islam. No, he wasn't teaching Orthodox Islam. He was teaching Freemasonic Islam. And you people in the Nation of Islam, you know that. You know that. Noble Drew Ali was teaching a form of Freemasonic Islam. You understand? He was teaching that as well. So again, it's not an issue of, it's not an issue of, where it come from, what the teaching was. The teaching is what it was. It was meant to help and raise our people, because it's all that we had available to us at the time. Half the time the messenger was reading out of the Bible. He wasn't reading out the Quran like that, because the Quran wasn't all that important to him. Because our people were people of the Bible, because he understood our people in connection to the book of Revelation. He understood that. You see? He understood that in connection to the book of Revelation, how our people were connected to that. And unfortunately, a lot of the people, they didn't get that. A lot of people didn't get that. That's why a lot of you people, those of you who were with the messenger, when he passed on, A lot of y'all went to follow Orthodox Islam. You follow Orthodox Islam. Okay? The messenger told you, don't follow Orthodox Islam. The messenger told you that. When he was sending his son Akbar over there, he was only sending his son Akbar over there to learn Arabic. He wasn't telling y'all to follow no Sunni Islam or no Arab Islam. In fact, the messenger said, I'm teaching a better Islam than them. I'm going to teach them Islam. That's how bold the messenger was. He's going to reteach them their stuff through Freemasonry. So he wasn't trying to accept no Orthodox Islam. He wasn't trying to bring all these different races of people into the nation of Islam. He wasn't trying to get his people to follow a bunch of descendants of slave traders. Because them so-called Arabs over there, whether you people in the nation of Islam know it or not, they are not your friends. They don't like y'all. It's in their mind, y'all ain't nothing but a bunch of niggas, man. That's how they see you. I don't care how much Minister Farrakhan go over there with them people and try to act like those people are good with Minister Farrakhan. Yeah, they cool with Minister Farrakhan because he got money. You understand? He got a delegation. But the rest, how they treat the rest of you so-called black Muslims over there, you know they ain't got no regard for you. They don't consider you no Muslim. They feel like y'all a bunch of niggas that have invaded their religion. That's how they feel. And you know what? When you go over there as Orthodox Muslims, that's really what you are. You're just a bunch of niggas in their eyes who have invaded their religion. And it is their religion. Don't get it twisted. Islam is not our way of life. Islam is not our way of life. Islam is not our way of life because according to Islam, you have to be in submission to Allah. According to Islam, you have to be in submission to the will of Allah. But wait a minute, I thought you said the black man was Allah. So how can the black man be in submission to himself? How can the black man be in submission to himself if he's supposed to be God in person or he Allah? Man is Allah. How is he in submission to himself? Sound like y'all teaching two totally different doctrines. Then with the so-called orthodoxy teaching, the messenger taught you something totally different. He knew what they taught. And there's a reason why he didn't go along with what they taught, because it wasn't fitting for our people. It didn't fit for our people. But a lot of you people that supposedly was following, obviously you didn't hear. Obviously you didn't hear. You walk with him all that time, the man telling the black man is God, and this, that, and the third. He trying to take you out of religion, trying to take you out of spookism on his level, take you out of religion by making you the supreme beings, and y'all didn't see that now, did you? You didn't see that. I wonder why. Wonder why. Maybe because it was an element of people in the Nation of Islam who was really trying to pull the organization in that Sunni Muslim type of direction. Who could that have been? Could it have been Malcolm X? Could it have been Wallace Muhammad? Could it have been Akbar Muhammad, his son who went over there to Saudi Arabia to learn Arabic? Because you already know how y'all Negroes are as soon as you see the Arabs, because in your mind you think they the real ones who know about Islam. And you know, and Fard came from Saudi Arabia according to the story. So already y'all get over there amongst them and you start letting these people tell you how you supposed to pray, how you supposed to do this, how you supposed to do that. Y'all coon out because you think the Arabs are more than what you are. So you coming over there and you start trying to mesh in with what they taught. Because in your mind, the messenger, what he taught was a bunch of nonsense. That wasn't real Islam. That ain't real Islam with the messenger teaching. Oh, no, he just cleaned your asses up with it. It was good enough to clean you niggas up with it. You understand? It was good enough to get you off dope, to get you off of prostituting yourself, to get you off of smoking damn cigarettes, to get you off of being a whore and a slut or beating on your women. It was good enough to do that, though, right? And Orthodox Islam don't do nothing like that for you so-called black men, because a lot of you so-called black men, you black men in Orthodox Islam, a lot of y'all worse than when you was regular niggas. A lot of you guys that's in Orthodox Islam, you worse than when you was regular niggas, because at least the messenger, when you was with him, he made sure the men stayed fit and trim, the women stayed fit and trim. At least he tried. He kept himself down. You guys, you get with Islam, you guys get all fat and sloppy and out of shape. You understand? Walking around in damn robes and long damn dresses, look like damn dresses. Walking around like you come out like you grew up in the damn middle of the desert somewhere, looking ridiculous. Trying to play a character, play a role, especially you niggas who want to follow Islam in Philly. You niggas are funny. You niggas will talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He ain't no messenger, and he's a false prophet. Yet you niggas want to talk about following the Arabs while standing on the corner selling fucking dope. Like shooting each other. You niggas got the nerve to talk about who a real Muslim is. You niggas in Philadelphia. You Philly cheesesteak hoagie ass eating niggas who talking that Islam shit. Raw and uncut. Because that's just how it is. Y'all a bunch of goddamn hypocrites, man. Y'all a bunch of hypocrites. Because the messenger brought Islam to Philadelphia. He brought it there. He cleaned up a lot of people in Philadelphia. And how you niggas repaid him, how you niggas went over there with Wallace into Sunni Islam. You went into Sunni Islam, you didn't hear not one word the man said. So don't tell me that you was his followers. You didn't hear one word that man said. You didn't follow one word he said. He said the black man is God. Meaning the black man, you're supposed to be a supreme being. So what the hell you look like having some Arabs tell you how to pray, how to eat your food, how to do this and how to do that? They could barely wash their own ass. Nasty and filthy over there in Saudi Arabia. Y'all done been over there. You know how it is. Y'all that went over there on Hajj. Letting them tell you when your Juma shouldn't be on Wednesday, it should be on Friday. According to Prophet Muhammad. And then Elijah Muhammad said, we ain't following no Prophet Muhammad. He was the Prophet Muhammad. And we didn't care who didn't like it. He was our Prophet Muhammad. You understand that? But again, some people will say, oh, brother, how you know you wasn't there, brother? You don't know what really happened, brother. You don't have to be there to see the result. You don't have to be there to see the end result of what happened. Now, do you? You don't have to be there to see the end result of what happened. Because what ended up happening? What ended up happening? Well, Malcolm X sold out. He sold out. He sat around for 20 years in the Nation of Islam saying the white man was the devil, claiming that he was all the way in on what the messenger was saying. He sat around, for 12 years in the Nation of Islam. I said 20. I meant to say 12 because he came in 52 and got put out in 64. So that's about 12 years he was in the Nation of Islam. And he sat up there all that 12 years, became prominent in the Nation of Islam, spitting the Nation of Islam message out, teaching that the white man was the devil, and on fire, messenger putting that message in his head. And what that nigga do? What that nigga did? After he got mad at the messenger for dealing with some women, after he got mad about some money, or he got mad because he had to had his mouth shut because he ran his mouth about that whole Kennedy thing, what did he do? He flipped. He flipped and he disrespected the whole nation. Not just the messenger, but the whole nation. He tried to disrupt a whole bunch of people's lives because he was on a little bitch fit. He had a little bitch rant. I don't care. Now you Malcolm X niggas don't like it or not. You understand that? Malcolm X was a traitor. He was a traitor. He was a goddamn traitor. I don't care. Y'all don't like it. It's the truth. Anytime you're going to go to the devil, the so-called white man, on your teacher and talk about, oh, he was dealing with young women and whatnot and this, that, and the third, and you going to the devil and doing that? You going to the devil on his television networks? With a funky-ass beard on your face after you went over there and became a bitch for the Arabs? You became a bitch for the Arabs, Malcolm X. You ran over there and let some funky beard get on your face after the messenger cleaned your black ass up. If it wouldn't have been for him, you would have been dead probably with a heroin needle in your arm, a shot in a damn stick up. And you got the nerve to disrespect that man? That man who made you prominent? If it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for him, it'd be no Malcolm X. And that's how you repay him? Anyway. Now, fast forward, messenger, in the 60s, he was putting out a lot of things, a lot of wisdom, a lot of future knowledge he was putting out. Again, this is what pulls him away from everybody. This is what pulls him away from your Noble Drew Ali's and your Marcus Garvey's. See, because the messenger said, and I'm going to say this because people will say the Nation of Islam, they got a very short-term memory. You people in the Nation of Islam, You nations of Islam, and I'm being respectful for calling y'all the Nation of Islam, because I don't really acknowledge any of these organizations as the Nation of Islam. The real Nation of Islam died with Elijah Muhammad. Everything else, that's just you guys setting up and whatnot. You might as well just call y'all organizations after your own last names, because y'all doing what the hell y'all want to do anyway. Ain't none of y'all following the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, so knock that shit off, man. You might as well call in that organization right after your last names. I'm being nice calling it the Nation of Islam. You understand? The Nation of Islam died with the messenger. Real talk. Because let's say, what happened? Well, let's see what happened. The first defector was Wallace. You know what I'm saying? And then Malcolm X defected. Right? Started running his mouth to white men about the messenger's personal affairs. Right? And then when the messenger passed on, Wallace, Wallace came back on the scene, because he went out the nation for a while, in and out. He went out the nation, came back, right? When the messenger was sick and about to pass on, and somehow pushed himself into the top seat because of that so-called old prophecy about Wallace, Master Fard Muhammad saying that Wallace would be a great help to, and this, that, and the third. Well, that right there throw that whole thing of, if Fard Muhammad told Elijah Muhammad that Wallace Muhammad would be a great help to him, then that throw all that shit out the window about Fard being Allah in person. Because if he couldn't see that he's supposed to be Allah in person, he was supposed to be able to see futuristically that this nigga was not going to help his father. Just like that. He was supposed to see that. If Fard couldn't see that, I don't know how y'all can call him Allah. He's supposed to know the future. He's supposed to know that this nigga was going to destroy y'all organization. And I said it. That's what he did. That's what he did. Y'all know he did that. And that affected all of us, not just you people in the Nation of Islam, you people that were back then, not just Minister Farrakhan, not just all them people back then. It affected us to this day because, again, we said we are the reflections of what the messenger put out. Amen used him and put that energy and that transmission through, and it affected us all. So everything that y'all was doing, we looking to y'all as leaders, as mentors and whatnot, those of you who walk with the messenger, but y'all came up very short on that. A lot of y'all came up real short. You understand that? You came up short. A lot of you guys came up short. You see? So when the time came, the messenger was ailing, this great man. He put in 40 years of work building businesses, right? Building all these businesses, employing the people in the nation and people outside the nation, right? Creating an economy for the nation, farmland for the nation, all these things this great man did over 40 years of his life, having to deal with these devils, being on the run, doing all this stuff. This is what he had to go through. All the sacrifice he had to make. All the great sacrifice this man had to make. All the hell that he was put through by the so-called white man, by the damn devil, always with the FBI, the CIA, treating them like they damn gangsters and like they mobsters or they some kind of threat to the society, treating the nation, because all these people want to do is clean their life up. He had to deal with that. He had to deal with niggas in the organization who still want to be niggas, who want to come in and cause chaos and confusion. He had to deal with that. Niggas in his own family. You understand that? He had to deal with that. He had to deal with that. That's why I said, the hell with a story on Malcolm X. It need to be a story on the Nation of Islam, on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I said this before, and I'll say this again. In the future, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line, I'm going to make a picture about Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to make a picture about Elijah Muhammad. I'm going to write the script and direct it. I'm going to make a picture about the messenger. A real picture, a real biopic, like The Godfather. I said it. That's my future plan. I'm going to make a real picture about the messenger. Portray him as the real man that he was. All the ups and downs and all the things he had to go through, and honor that man. Because, again, that should have been something that the people in the nation should have did. They should have had a film made about the messenger. They should have did that. They should have honored that great man. You understand that? They should have honored him. But see, it's never too late. It's never too late because, again, he is still ringing bells, being gone 40, 50 years. Because again, people will say, "Oh, Nuben, you an opportunist. Why you ain't in the nation? Why you speaking on the messenger? You trying to use the messenger name to get on?" I'm not using the messenger name to get on. I'm already on. I got news for you. I'm already on. I don't need the messenger name to get on. But I bear witness that he was a man of Amen, just like I bear witness that Dr. Malachi Z. York was a man of Amen. They're my mentors, and I'm going to always stick up for my mentors regardless. Regardless. You understand that? And I don't care who don't like it. I don't care who offended by it. Don't listen if you don't like it. But it's still not going to change the reality of what's being said. And again, I'm not here to take shots at Minister Farrakhan. I don't dislike Minister Farrakhan. I don't dislike him. I don't hate Minister Farrakhan. I don't hate the Nation of Islam. I love the Nation of Islam that was when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I love the Nation of Islam back then when it was around. You understand? I'm sorry, I just don't acknowledge these other organizations as the Nation of Islam because number one, the messenger didn't have no successes in the Nation of Islam. He had no successes. The man had no successes in the Nation of Islam. You understand that? How do you know that? Because again, if he really had successes in the Nation of Islam, how the hell did Wallace Muhammad come up and take over the reins of the Nation of Islam? How did that happen? How was Wallace Muhammad, if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave strict instruction of a real successor, right? If he did, how did Wallace Muhammad come up and do what he did with the Nation of Islam? How did that happen? How was that? Somebody should have been like, nah, the messenger said that Minister Farrakhan is the next one or in line, or such and such is the next one in line, or this one the next one in line. Hell no, Wallace ain't coming up here. You understand? He ain't coming up here with that orthodox Sunni shit. That's what they were supposed to say. They were supposed to bum rush that shit, man. The real followers of the messenger. They were supposed to walk out. They weren't supposed to go along to get along. They were supposed to turn their back and walk out. But they didn't. Why? Why did they go with Wallace? Why did they all go with Wallace? Or the ones who tried to go with Silas, because really Silas Muhammad was the first one who was really bucking up. He was the one that bucked up first before Minister Farrakhan. Silas bucked up. Silas the one that bucked up. The one in Atlanta, Silas Muhammad, he's the first one that bucked up, and they threatened his life. According to what he said, one of his soldiers said they threatened his life, that he got to stop teaching what the messenger taught, or he would be dealt with, because Wallace was pushing that whole Sunni Islam campaign. Basically, that whole Sunni Islam campaign was coming from the government because the government wanted to neutralize the Nation of Islam. They wanted to neutralize the Nation of Islam by turning it into an Orthodox Muslim group where you could take white people in and all different types of races in, Mexicans, all these and such, and all these different races of people who are not black people because they wanted to neutralize it. In other words, they wanted to water it down, and that's what they ended up doing when Wallace took over. You understand? He turned you into a bunch of goddamn Bilalians. Who was Bilal? Bilal was a black slave or a singer who was running with Prophet Muhammad. In other words, he was Muhammad's black buddy. He was his Ethiopian black buddy, according to the story. And then this is what Wallace do. He basically sets up he sets you up your colored section in Islam. That's all Wallace did. He sets you up a colored section in Sunni Islam. He sets you up your own little colored section up under the Arabs, your former goddamn slave masters. And y'all went with that shit. Y'all went with that. A lot of y'all went with that. And a lot of y'all are still in Sunni Islam, up under the Arabs. Because make no mistake about it, that's who your Allah is. That's who runs Sunni. That's who runs all of Islam coming from Saudi Arabia, your Arabs, not you so-called black people. Yet you niggas talking about Islam is a beautiful thing. When the hell was Islam ever a beautiful thing? The only time it was a beautiful thing is when the messenger taught it. From Freemasonry, when it was viable at that time. Ain't no damn Orthodox Islam ever been good for our people. Them people who you sitting up here praying with them Arabs, they thinking you was a bunch of Zenjis. That's another way of saying niggas. Check out how they treat black Arabs, black Muslims in Saudi Arabia. Check out how they treat them. Minister Farrakhan, no. All you guys that have been over to Saudi Arabia, you know. You know. His son Akbar knew. And Malcolm X knew. Malcolm X talking all this BS about the messenger and his secretaries and his personal business, but then he goes over there to Saudi Arabia and sees Arabs with 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6 wives, 7, 10 wives, and whatnot. Why he didn't say nothing about that then? Why he didn't say nothing about the polygamy that they practice over there in Saudi Arabia? Why did he try to make the messenger seem like he was wrong? You understand that? Now, people might say because the messenger didn't he told people not to do it. That's where the hypocrisy was. Yeah, he was right to tell black people at that time not to practice polygamy because all they was going to turn it into is what they done turned it into today, polygamy. Even in the people in the Nation of Islam, of course he couldn't have told people back then in the nation who was just coming from putting down the damn Bible and Christianity and putting down the cigarette and the pork and everything, oh, now you brothers can have multiple wives. Y'all would have reverted right back to damn niggas. Grabbing up every piece of poontang that come in the mosque. That's what y'all would have did. And the messenger knew that. That's why he didn't put that out there like that and told y'all, you keep your one wife. You niggas can't afford it any damn way. He could afford it. And he earned it. He earned extra wives. He earned it. All the hell he had to go through, you damn right, a nice young pretty woman was what the messenger needed. You damn right. All the stuff he had to deal with, I think he deserved all those women and more money for all the hell he had to go through. And it still wasn't enough. You understand that? That you want to criticize him? Really? But again, that's that Coon Sambo mentality. That's that Coon Sambo mentality. That obviously never left a lot of y'all in the Nation of Islam. Because for you to go back and worship an Arab, for you to go back and worship Arabs, or pray with them or have these people, what didn't the messenger say the black man was God? So how the hell do these people who are not old as you, who are not part of the original, how do they tell you how to pray, how to do this, what you should be doing, if Islam is supposedly your way of life, your culture, as y'all say? How are you listening to the Arabs? Answer: you shouldn't have been listening to the Arabs. Answer: you shouldn't have been following Orthodox Sunni Islam if you were claiming to be a member, if you were claiming that you really were following the teachings of the messenger. There shouldn't have been no way Wallace could have sold y'all Sunni Islam. So now I ask you, how is it that Minister Farrakhan, and again, it's not a shot at Minister Farrakhan, it's just a question. Minister Farrakhan was supposed to be the successor to the Nation of Islam. How come he went with Wallace then? If he knew he was supposed to be the successor, how come he went with Wallace? How come he grew hair on his face and started reading the Quran and going through, even if he was with Wallace a year, 2 years, 3 years, wait a minute, if he was supposed to be the successor and he believed in everything that the messenger said, why did he go with Wallace? A man who said that his father's teachings were garbage. He said that his father's teachings were garbage. So if Minister Farrakhan went with him, then that's like Minister Farrakhan agreeing with it that the teachings was garbage. And now we're going to go follow Sunni Islam. As if the messenger was incomplete in some way, that the Arabs was more wiser than him. This is supposed to be a man directly from God, as you say, but the Arabs are wiser than him? How does that work? How did that work? Why did Minister Farrakhan go with Wallace if he was the successor, if he was really a follower or a successor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Why did any of these guys, other than Silas, why did any of these guys stand up? Why didn't any of these guys stand up other than Silas? And Minister Farrakhan later, after I probably didn't see it was no money under Wallace. You understand? Why didn't any of these guys stand up? Minister Farrakhan and Silas, and they starting up their own nations of Islam and doing their thing. But it was a little bit too late. It was a little bit too late. Because you were supposed to continue on where he left off. Everything should have went smooth. Everything should have took another level, and it should have been a smooth transition if you guys were really claiming. Because even if Wallace said, well, I'm going to go do Sunni Islam, he should have been doing Sunni Islam by his goddamn self. He should have been doing Sunni Islam by his goddamn self. Why was he doing it? Why did he have y'all with him? Answer: because y'all never really believed in what the messenger said. Whenever a white person show up, or an Arab, or somebody who don't look like you, y'all going to placate to that image, and y'all showed yourself to placate to that image when you went into Sunni Islam. You understand? You showed yourself. You understand that? When Minister Farrakhan then just go right ahead and start the Nation of Islam, or be like, the messenger anointed me, I'm going forward, I'm going to surround myself with the people that heard the messenger, and we're going to go, we still doing the Nation of Islam. Wallace could go ahead and do whatever he wanted to do with this orthodox thing. We going forward and teachers of the messenger. That didn't happen, now did it? Why? Because these people are not successors to the messenger. They're not. They're not. Now, people will say, well, brother, how you going to say that? You ain't in the Nation of Islam. The success has got to come from the Nation of Islam. No, it don't. No, it don't. Again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the black nation, the so-called black nation. So that means when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when Noble Drew Ali passed on, when Marcus Garvey passed on, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said all their followers should be coming with me. He said that your teachers were good for that time, but they not here no more, or whatever the case is, y'all should be coming with me. So, and the messenger went inside. He was telling the church people to come outside the church and come into Islam. So the messenger had no problem with going into other organizations, into other doctrines, and pulling out the sincere people, because he knew that the teaching that he was offering was much more advanced than what they were teaching the people. So when he did that, nobody seemed to have a problem. He was getting at the Christians. All the stuff you see me doing right now that you people in the Nation of Islam may be appalled that the messenger was doing 40 years ago. The messenger was going hard 40 years ago, getting at the Christians, getting at the people in these different organizations, telling their followers they should be with him. You understand? And he was right to do that. He was right, because he had the right program for our people at that time. Now, he didn't come through all these organizations. He said, told his people, come out of that. You understand? We looking into the future. Come out of that. He was right to tell the people that. Now the Nation of Islam, they'll hear this message and they'll get pissed off, because they're like, who is this brother telling us that we're supposed to be following him, and that we're supposed to be, and this guy is this way and this guy is that way. Keep your mouth shut, because the messenger did the same thing. The messenger did the same thing. So don't be hypocritical and me doing that, because, again, it ain't about personality. It ain't about respecting Minister Farrakhan's personality, or Silas' personality, or Marvin Muhammad, or Royal Muhammad, or any of these guys that's claiming to be successor to the messenger. It ain't about their personality. It ain't about that. It's about the so-called black nation, raking our people up, bringing them into a state of brightness. That's what that's about, as many as we can. Moving forward in the future. Ain't about nobody personal, nobody personal feelings, and they personal what they don't like, and they don't. It ain't about that, man. Because, again, the messenger was a public figure. He's a public figure. He's not your personal figure. You people in these nations of Islam, the messenger is not your personal figure. He is a public figure. He came for us. Remember that as you sitting up here swelling up, getting mad, acting like I'm rubbing some kind of salt in your wounds, when I'm trying to wake y'all the hell up. Trying to wake y'all the hell up the same way the messenger was trying to wake y'all the hell up 40, 50, 60 years ago, when y'all was in the goddamn church, when you was in the goddamn mosque, or up under these dead organizations, when you was in the Masonic lodges, and when the messenger was waking you up, telling you come with him. And a lot of people were offended by the messenger. But oh well, he was doing the will of Allah. He was doing the will of Allah, trying to bring his people into the next level, bringing them into the next state of thinking, going forward in the future. So, of course, you're going to ruffle some feathers when you got some niggas who don't want to move. They don't want to move fast enough, or they want to hold the people back because they want to make money, because they want to get money. They don't want the people to advance forward or move on without them, because they know really they don't have any plan for the future of our people. They don't want to get off the damn pot. They want to keep sitting on the damn throne forever. And they want to hold up the minds of the people, because they want to sit on the damn throne. You understand that? We have become too goddamn personality driven with these so-called black leaders. You understand that? That we can't see the bright ones before us. We can't see the bright ones because we too magnified or mesmerized by these black leaders. That wasn't what the messenger was. He wasn't that. That man was a luminary, man. He was a bright man, and he was sent here to do the bright work of waking up our people, getting our people jump-started mentally, and preparing them for the time when I would come. The time when I would come.
And again, I didn't have to be in the Nation of Islam to be no successor. I didn't have to walk with the messenger for 20, 30 years, and he didn't have to anoint me because the messenger said out of his own mouth, I didn't even choose myself. So how the hell am I going to choose a successor? Amen chooses the successor. The Most High chooses the successor. Just like the Most High, Amen chose the messenger, Amen is going to choose the next messenger. And he has chosen the next messenger in me. In me. Whether y'all want to accept it or not. It don't matter whether you want to accept it or not. It don't matter if you want to sit in the corner and be pissed off and be angry, or oh, this brother crazy, brother, and this brother need help, brother, and no, brother, nothing. While at the same time, you telling me how crazy I am, y'all ain't doing a goddamn thing, man. You living off of the shadow of Elijah Muhammad. You living in the shadows of Elijah Muhammad. You ain't adding on to his work. You're not adding on to his work. If anything, y'all subtracting from his work. Because when we got to see the people who's supposed to be the followers of the messenger today, we're all divided up, 50 different directions. Some want to be more Sunni Islam-like. Some want to kind of be with the old stuff. Some want to try to lean more toward masonry. No, man, listen, man. That means that all that done come to an end. All that done come to an end, man. You understand that? It was always about raising the next generation, man. The messenger was always about the babies, man. That's what it was always about. The messenger was about the future of the babies. And so that means that we need a future message, man. We need a future message. You understand that? And that future message for the ages going forward is Mentellect, for the bright ones of our people who are waking up, who are coming out of the black race. We have to make an evolutionary jump. See, when the messenger came, he was making the jump, man. That was an evolutionary jump. Hell, getting black people to stop eating goddamn pork was an evolutionary jump. Because niggas was loving some swine. To get them to stop being damn degenerates, because the white man did a job on y'all. To get them to believe or to accept that the white man was the damn devil. You understand? Do Minister Farrakhan still believe that? Do he still believe the white man's the devil? Y'all couldn't tell because when that picture came out with him next to his son and his son's white wife. You understand? That don't seem, and he had a smile on his face. He didn't seem like he believed the white man was the devil anymore. Especially because it's one thing you don't have to call a white man the devil. It's another thing to be smiling and all happy when the damn devil is coming into your family. You understand that? And then you're going to try and justify it, talking about, oh, the messenger used harsh words, and that was just how he felt at the time because of what we was going through. No, that's not why the messenger said that. He was saying it because the goddamn white man is the devil, always has been and always will be. That's why he said that. And unfortunately, he is your God. He is your God and he is your devil. That's why we raise the level to the Lord, Amen, past the God and the devil. You can have the goddamn white man as your God and devil. You people in the Nation of Islam, you can have Fard. We've taken the messenger. We've taken him. He's ours. He's ours because he belongs to the world. He belongs to the world. That is a luminary right there. And y'all didn't respect him as such. Y'all didn't respect that man as such. You understand that? You proved who y'all really was, the mass majority of his followers. He predicted that y'all was going to all, his true followers would fit in the taxi cab. And like I said, y'all all rolled out with, the mass majority of y'all rolled out with Wallace. You understand that? It is what it is. It is what it is. The messenger made an impact. That's why I'm talking about him today. He made a great impact. More on the successor, who is the real successor to Honorable Elijah Muhammad when we come back. I'm going to be in Los Angeles. I'm going to be in Los Angeles on the, hold on, bringing it up. I'm going to be in Los Angeles at, hold on, let me bring it up. I'm going to be in Los Angeles at the Republican Mentellect Supermen Superwoman campaign held at the Holiday Inn Theater Room, 9901 La Cienega Boulevard,
9901 South La Cienega Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 945. That's the zip code, right? La Cienega, right? One of my assistants let me y'all know how to La Cienega, La Cienega, La Cienega, La Cienega. There we go, La Cienega. 9901 La Cienega Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, 945. That's the zip code. Okay, I'm going to be there Sunday, September 8th. Sunday, September 8th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is only $10. So come on out and see us. There'll be a contact number soon. So look for the contact number, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Anyway, back to this. I don't know how it is that you people in the Nation of Islam who are supposed to be in the Nation of Islam are even praying at this point. How is it that you even make salat? Why do you make salat? Because if the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught you that the black man was God, right, and that we are connected to the Supreme, then why are you praying to the East with the Arabs? Why are you doing it? I understand why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had y'all doing it at one point, but if you claiming to be gods, what are you praying for? What are you praying to? You understand that? What are you praying for, and what are you praying to if you're claiming to be God? See, we in the Republican Mentellect, we don't make no prayers to Amen because, again, Amen is us. Amen is us in future states and extended states. Amen is us continuously, so we make reception to the higher self. We make connection to the future self. Reception, that's not prayer. You understand that? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had you opening up your hands and standing up and making prayer on a square. Right? This is what he had you. I see a lot of you people in the Nation of Islam, you on your knees. I don't never remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad telling people to get on their knees. And I could be mistaken. But again, why are you praying? Because anybody who's the successor to the messenger should have been told y'all stop praying. We're not praying to no East, to no Arab gods. Allah is the so-called black man. That's what you should have been teaching. But if you're so infatuated with going to Saudi Arabia and Mecca around these Arabs and trying to put on an Arab headdress and act like you one of these people and try to act like you share the same thoughts on Islam with these people, then you're being very disingenuous. You're either being very disingenuous to the Arabs or you're being disingenuous to your own people. Because if you're supposed to be the successor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then you teach what the messenger taught, and you take it to an even higher state. If Amen is dealing with you, Allah or whoever you claim is dealing with you, then you take that teaching to a higher level. You don't step here and teach what the messenger taught. The messenger don't need a parrot. You take what the messenger taught, and you bring greater light to it. You don't have to go against what he taught. You bring greater light to it, bring greater clarity to that, because that's what a true successor does. A true successor brings even greater clarity to the message that the last person left behind. So I don't see any of you people in the Nation of Islam, or any of these nations of Islam, doing that. You're not. Y'all ain't doing nothing but reteaching a whole bunch of hashed over. You understand? Y'all doing nothing but teaching a bunch of half hashed over teachings of the messenger. And you're only doing that because you want to keep some of the old hardcore followers of the messenger in the foundation. But realistically, y'all trying to do your own thing. Y'all trying to do your own thing. And that's not something that is in alignment with what the messenger taught. It's not. None of these nations of Islam are in alignment with what the messenger taught. Because they still trying to teach Islam, or they don't know which direction they want to go in. Some of these guys want to be reverends. Some of these guys want to be imams. Some of these guys want to try to act like they the reincarnation of the messenger. All this madness. See, when you truly the successor of a great man like this, you don't have to try and be like him. You already casting your own image forward. You don't got to use his image any longer. You understand? You don't have to do that. And if you claim to be a successor to this man, you don't have to use his image, because you're doing his image a disservice if you're not taking it to another level, if you're going opposite of what his image was saying, the things he was saying. At this point, you people in the Nation of Islam are supposed to be done stop praying. Y'all supposed to be on a whole nother level in connection to the higher self. Y'all supposed to be on a whole nother level, but obviously these so-called successors can't take you there. They can't connect you to that. Why? Because they were not chosen as successors. They were not.
That's a lie that they telling y'all. They were not chosen as successors, because if they was, you would see the doctrine of the Nation of Islam a lot extended, more extended than what it is. You would see the financial situations way better than when the messenger left. Because a lot of these guys who was running these nations of Islam, these so-called nations of Islam, they've been in their pedestal, being so-called successors and teachers in their own little nations of Islam for just as long as the messenger has. You got guys, these guys done put in 40-some years, 40-plus years, same as the messenger. How come it ain't the same results? How come it ain't the same results if you're the successor? How come the financial is not greater than the old nation? How come the knowledge is not greater than the old nation? You can't claim to be a successor and then the person who you succeeding is still better than what you doing now. You can't call yourself a successor. You got to come on some whole other level of teaching or something and raise the people up and continue forward. Because nothing I say is really in opposition to what the messenger said. Nothing I teach is really in opposition of it. I'm just giving more clarity. I'm just bringing way more clarity, and it's not to take no insult to the messenger. It's because, again, certain knowledge is given to certain people at certain time frames. The messenger received what he thought to be Islam, you understand, at that time, and that was what was needed to raise so-called black men and black women at that time, a more modern, futuristic type of version of it. You understand that? Freemasonry. So that was given to the people, the so-called black men and black women, and it worked in cleaning them up. It was perfect. It was perfect. So all of those teachings, like I said, from people like Noble Drew Ali and all the people who want to say, the messenger learned from it, obviously Noble Drew Ali wasn't supposed to be or was not the messenger of Amen. He was not. Noble Drew Ali was not the messenger of Amen. You understand? He was a forerunner. You understand? He was a forerunner. And this is why his organization wasn't as popular as the Nation of Islam. You understand? Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was taking it on to another level. See, when he started out with people like your Noble Drew Ali's and all these people, they was at a certain level at the time. Same thing with me. When I started teaching Mentellect back in 2003, before it officially became Mentellect, that took 7 years, 7 years to become Mentellect in 2010. When I started teaching, I was teaching with my contemporaries. I was teaching blackness and some bits and pieces of blackness still, even though it was always still Amen. You know what I'm saying? It was Amen. First it was common, then it was Amen, and then it was coming in, the reception was coming in clearer. But I was teaching along with my contemporaries. And then one day I turned to my assistant, Lanier Minjaz, and I told certain key people as the word Mentellect was coming in, I said, I'm about to take y'all on a path to where nobody can follow. Knowledge-wise, I'm about to take y'all on a path, on a greater path, on a more extended mental path, and no one is going to be able to follow us from the last millennium and where we go on with this and what we teaching. Nobody. And I've been keeping my word now, haven't I? I've been keeping my word. I told you that nothing that I will teach will resemble anything that black people ever learned before in their lives and never will hear again. I kept my word because that was Amen. Now again, if you are truly the successor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, y'all should be talking like this. Y'all should be teaching some knowledge that's way on a higher level than Elijah Muhammad. And I am teaching a knowledge that's way higher than that which the messenger taught. I am. Yes, I am. Why? Because Amen put that through me. Amen, and again, it's not to insult the messenger. It is what it is. When somebody comes in a certain time frame to teach a knowledge, then somebody's supposed to be in that alignment of that time frame who is being sent messages by the true Lord Amen. Again, what's going to happen is that person who's coming behind the next person is going to be more increased. They're going to be more increased for their time frame. So, of course, for my time frame, being that this republic started in the 21st century, I'm going to be more increased in my knowledge. But a lot of the true members of the Nation of Islam, the true followers who followed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not these so-called successors, but the true followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, bear witness that I am his successor. Yes, I said it. I am the successor to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yes, I am. And no, I don't have to have 50 farms and 50 factories and all this other stuff. No, I don't have to have that. We got a future plan on how to feed our people, our bright people. We got a future plan coming for that. We got a future plan coming in this post-apocalyptic society that we're about to go into. Because our minds stay like that as the bright race. Because we heard the message when the messenger said that the so-called black race is mentally dead. We heard that. I heard that at 5 years old. I heard it at 5 years old. I heard the vibration and the tone of this man at 5 years old. And I knew he was somebody. I knew he was somebody. You understand that? Staring at his picture on the album cover. My mother and father had 5 years old. I'm staring at his picture for over hours, just sitting in a chair staring at his picture. Don't know why I'm staring at his picture, fixated on that man's picture. You understand that? Because I was being groomed for today. I was taken in his image, feeling the rays coming from that man, feeling the purity coming from that man. I was taken in his rays as a little boy, soaking in every inch of that great man's face, his features, everything, his aura, his soul, his mind, all that was being just transferred into me. That's how it came to me. Same thing happened with Dr. York. And y'all can take all the shots you want at Dr. York, but like I said, he was set up, of course. You understand that? But whatever. Again, we were all affected by the messenger because he was the first man of the last millennium, the first man who came in the image of Amen. Even though they didn't say Amen, they said Allah, because again, Allah, even that was strange for our people at that time, Allah. So Amen would have really been strange, but you could tell that the way the messenger describes the black man or man as being God, that's really him trying to describe Amen. That's really him trying to describe Amen. When you hear about the letter X in the Nation of Islam teaching, letter X is representative of 10. What is number 10? The number 10 that I teach is dealing with separation. What was the messenger really supposed to be separating away from the so-called black race, the ones of our people who are mentally dead? And we live that here in the Republic of Mentellect as the bright race who are continuously doing the separation of our people, the bright race, from the black seed. That's what the messenger was trying to do on a lower level. He was trying to separate the black ones, the mentally dead, as he called them, from the ones that he was trying to clean up to be bright people or intelligent people. He didn't use these terminologies, but we are continuing his work in the name of Amen because, again, Amen put him on this path, not no Allah, not no Fard. You understand that? Not no Allah and not no Fard, because as I proved before, how the hell is Fard going to teach us a doctrine that's going to help us as so-called black people in America when he ain't even from here according to your teaching, and he ain't even really a so-called black man? So how the hell he going to help us? He can only, like I said, as far as giving some structural thing, which again, that's not even, because let's be for real here. The structure of the Nation of Islam is Freemasonic structure. Okay? So Fard didn't even really come with that. Tell me really what Fard did that was original. Please tell me. The structure of the Nation of Islam is the Freemasonic structure, where you got the Eastern Stars on one side, which is like your MGT, and on the other side you got the Masons, which is your FOI. It's the same setup. They had temples, just like y'all got the word temple from, and then y'all changed it to mosque, trying to follow the Arabs. But at first y'all gathered in place with temples, like the Freemasonic temples. You see? So, again, if your structure was Freemasonic, and Freemasonry deals with really their connection, or these Caucasians trying to connect to ancient Egypt, right? And in ancient Egypt, they dealt with Amen. Again, so if the messenger was teaching Islam, which was the Islam he was teaching, which was connected to Freemasonry, and Freemasonry is dealing with ancient Egypt, then of course you see the connection right there. You see it right there. You see it in how the FOI wore their head crowns and whatnot that look like fezzes. Again, those type of fezzes you could see on the ancient Egyptian pharaohs or the ancient Egyptian luminaries. They had those square fezzes on their heads. You could see the head coverings that the women, the head coverings, the square head coverings the women had in the 60s and things like that. Those was the head coverings of the queen pharaohs back in ancient Egypt. That wasn't Islamic head coverings that the women wore. Back in the 60s, the messengers had them dressing like Egyptian queens. That's not really how the messenger had them dressing, the MGT. Look at their head crowns. I put it side by side, the old MGT head crowns next to Nefertiti in them. Right next to Nefertiti, it's the same headpiece. Where'd that come from? Where'd that come from? That's not Islam. That's not Islam. They had the same star on your headpiece as you MGT. That's the same star that the Eastern Stars got. So again, what did Fard really bring? Let's be for real here. That was nothing but Freemasonry. You understand that? Fard didn't teach nothing but Freemasonry. That's all. Stop trying to mesmerize this because he looked like a damn white man. Stop trying to mesmerize this, okay? Let's stop it. And again, Fard set the foundation for Freemasonry, which really was already set because Elijah Muhammad was already a Freemason. So he set the foundation for Freemasonry in the Nation of Islam. That's all really Fard did. And again, Elijah Muhammad accepted it because he comes from the background of Freemasonry. You understand that? He comes from the background of Freemasonry. Because the Nation of Islam was nothing but a Freemasonic order in the beginning. That's all it really was. That's why you had a lot of Masons and a lot of Moors who were Masons cross over and join the Nation of Islam because they realized that their organizations were running out. Noble Drew Ali was dead. You understand? Garvey was gone. So the only one that was left was Elijah Muhammad. He told their followers to come because they know the messenger knew that all those people in the Nation of in those organizations had some Masonic background. So he told them people to come with him, just like he told the so-called black people in the churches, because a lot of you so-called black men in the churches had backgrounds in Freemasonry, and you recognize the message that the messenger was teaching as a Freemasonic message. That's why a lot of y'all came. Y'all didn't come because of no Allah. You didn't come because of no this other stuff. A lot of you black men would join because of the Freemasonic connection, and also it dealt with forward-thinking doctrine. That's what attracted you to the Nation of Islam. You understand that? That's what attracted you to being Muslim. Noble Drew Ali, you can say all you want with Noble Drew Ali. Nobody was really all that attracted to his version of Islam because it was too on the orthodox side. Let's say like that. Nobody was really attracted to Noble Drew Ali. You see? People was attracted to Elijah Muhammad because, again, it dealt more with the now and going into the future. That's what it dealt with. So, again, that's why the message was embraced. That's why the message was embraced. And that's why the messenger was embraced. You see? And he used the perfect formula to build an organization that Amun put in him. Because, again, what is it that Fard could have really taught Elijah Muhammad at this point? You understand? What about the story about Yaqub, the big head scientist? Y'all could have did without that story. You understand? Y'all could have did without that. Nation of Islam folklore about his past, whatever. Y'all could have did without that. That ain't the foundation of that. What the foundation is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad set in place. The black man is God, right? Freedom, justice, and equality. Even though I had to come along and tweak that a little bit. We said the bright man is the Lord, and we're not seeking freedom, justice, and equality. We seeking supremacy. You understand? We seeking supremacy. And we teach that the bright men and the bright women are the lords, not no gods. We already been through that. We've been through that God stage. We've been through that devil stage. We've done with that. We teach that the bright race are a race of lords in the image of Amun. And that we seeking supremacy. We're not seeking no goddamn equality, man, with nobody. We're going to reign supreme. We are going to reign supreme. We are going to reign supreme as the messenger saw it. As the messenger saw it. And we ain't doing it with no goddamn Scientology, no Dianetics, no Sunni Islam, no Freemasonry. You understand? No Moorish science. Man, all them doctrines is dead, man. And anybody that's pushing them damn doctrines, them dead doctrines from the 20th century, man, they teaching you dead doctrines, man. Anybody that's telling you that these old school ass 20th century doctrines are going to help our people going forward, stop listening to them. Stop listening to them. You understand that? Stop listening to them. Because they're not leading you nowhere. They're not leading you nowhere. It's time for us to start walking forward, man, because a lot of people are not sincere. A lot of people are not sincere in what they're saying and leading these people calling themselves successors to the messenger. Why the messenger? Because, again, the messenger was that luminary. He was that bright man. He was that luminary. And, again, the people that recognize him as such, like myself, recognize that y'all had a jewel with y'all and y'all didn't even understand what you had with y'all when you had him. That you had a jewel in the crown. That you had a walking God on earth. Amun-Re, y'all got the first Amun-Re. You got the first Amun-Re. Y'all got the first Amun-Re, and this is what y'all got to show for it. After him, a bunch of poor substitute teachers. Are you serious? Dianetics? That's what it's done come down to? Scientology? Some more white man shit? That's just what it is, white man bullshit. That they're trying to sell to you because certain people are trying to make $1. And that became more important than the messenger's teachings. That became more important than the future of our people. See, the future of our people was for sale. And a lot of certain people who you bigging up and thinking are so up there on, they done sold your goddamn future. They done sold the future of the black race out, man. Same way Malcolm X was willing to do it. That a lot of y'all sit up here, Malcolm this and Malcolm that and Malcolm this and Malcolm X. He sold out, man. Wallace Muhammad sold out. You understand that? And all these guys who claiming to be successors. It don't even matter whether they sold out or not. They ineffective. So to hell, they might well sell out. They ineffective. They just ineffective. And again, we could say that. We could say that. Because y'all public figures. Minister Farrakhan's a public figure. Silas Muhammad is a public figure. Elijah Muhammad is a public figure. Marvin Muhammad, all you guys that came on YouTube or making speeches into the public, you public figures. So again, you so-called followers of Minister Farrakhan, don't you dare get menstrual cramps because of what I'm saying. Don't you dare get on your period and get pissed off because of what I'm saying. You understand that? Don't you dare. Don't you dare get an attitude or get pissed off because of what I'm saying. Because I'm pointing you to the truth, the reality. I'm giving you the reality. I'm giving you the reality. I don't care if your ass hurt after this. If you mad. If you want to, we're going to be mad, brother. So what, nigga? Get mad. You should be mad about all that bullshit y'all was swallowing for the last 40 years. Under these poor substitute teachers. That's what you should be getting mad at. You see, I'm not your enemy. I'm not y'all enemy. I want to see the rise of my people, the bright people that's coming out of the black race. And I know we got a few bright ones still walking in these so-called nations of Islam. I'm telling you all to come out. You so-called black people, y'all can stay with these other nations of Islam. I don't want the black people out the nation of Islam. I want the bright people. I want the intelligent people. I don't want the believers from the nation of Islam. I want the thinkers who are sitting there lying dormant within the nation of Islam, within these nations of Islam. I want the thinkers. That's why I don't want the believers. Because I don't want nobody believing me. I don't want you believing me. I want you to be able to think about what I'm saying. The future is not going to be built on believers. It's going to be built on thinkers. So those of you who are truly thinking, who are thinking about this message that I'm putting across to you, come with me. Come with me. The thinkers, come with me. I am the successor of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Me, Nuben Menkarayzz. Because Amun said so. Not because nobody else said so. Not even if the messenger didn't say so. It don't matter because the messenger said it himself. He didn't have to say so. He said it himself. He said, I didn't choose myself to be in my position. So how the hell am I going to choose a successor? He said, how am I going to choose a successor when I didn't even choose myself? So that throws that out the window about the messenger looked at certain people and said they're going to be, and he had a dinner and said that he was going to be the next one. Well, if that's the case, then why'd you follow Wallace? That's all I got to say on that. So let me go ahead and read these questions. Who is the real successor to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad? I am, Nuben Menkarayzz. And this is the first 10 years that we put in. Look for us again going in the future. See where we at. as we going forward in the name of Amen. Not on nothing else, just Amen. Is it any of these leaders? Is it any of these many leaders who now lead these different divisions of the Nation of Islam? Of course not. No, they are not. Because again, where was these guys at when Wallace destroyed the nation? Where was they at? The only one that stood up was Silas Muhammad. And, he might as well be silent, Muhammad, because nobody really know much about him. He might as well be silent. The most popular one is Minister Farrakhan. And he went with Wallace. Now, people won't be mad about that, but that's what happened. He admitted it himself. He went with Wallace. He was more caught up on being the messenger's son more than his supposed message or his calling to take over the nation. Because if that was true and the messenger told you that, you went against his order. You went against what he said. Or you obviously didn't hear what he said, but that don't matter because, again, you ain't got nothing to show for it. You understand that? Can a successor come from outside the NOI? Yes, they can. Because, again, this is about the Most High. The Most High is dealing with more than just the Nation of Islam. He's dealing with our people in totality. So, of course, a successor could come from outside the Nation of Islam. Because if y'all didn't feel that way, then why the hell was Elijah Muhammad calling the followers of Noble Drew Ali, calling the followers of Marcus Garvey to come follow him and saying that he was their successor? Why would he do that? He wasn't in their organization, according to y'all. He wasn't part of their leadership. He wasn't part of the chain of command. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about the reality of who the Lord chooses to lead the people, not about whether y'all like it or not. Because leave it up to y'all. A lot of y'all ran out of here with Wallace, man. Can a successor come from? I got that. Does the messenger decide who the successor is? No, he does not. Elijah Muhammad said, I cannot decide who my successor is because I didn't decide. I didn't put myself here. And that's fact. He knew that it was a higher caller, man, that the Most High put him in place, and not Fard. Amen. Did Elijah Muhammad come after Noble Drew Ali? Did Elijah Muhammad come after Noble Drew Ali? Yes, he did. But those are two totally different successions. Because, again, Noble Drew Ali's organization burned out, man. He wasn't able to take it futuristically. And a lot of you guys who are the Moors, y'all know, Elijah Muhammad was more popular because his teaching was more modern and more present into the future, more futuristic. People could actually see where he was going. Nobody could really see what Noble Drew Ali or Marcus Garvey was talking about because that's not reality. And that's it. We're going to close out the name of Amen by the power of Amen. And Amen we trust, and Amen we think, and in Amen we continue forward forever. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz. This has been Mentellect Radio. I'll see you guys back here Wednesday. Good night.
Rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mentellect, black race to the white race. If it's hell, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. Fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and blue. Superman, Superwoman, that's me.